you put Justin Fields as a starting quarterback now, all of a sudden I'm looking at them saying, I don't know it might be the Bears. The Bears might be a better team than the New England Patriots. And we sat there and we raved about how Mac Jones was playing, but I'm watching him, and even the first half against the Raiders, they had a 14-3 lead. He was 12 of 20 for the game, but like it felt like he was in control of the game. Second half, they only like 92 yards of offense gained in the second half. Their defense took over, but it was still the way he managed the game that made you feel comfortable with saying this team has a higher ceiling now with Justin Fields at the helm.
Well, what happens naturally is people go to statistics, right? They start looking at the numbers. Oh, he was only 12 of 20, and he only threw for 100-plus yards and a touchdown. He had an interception and blah, blah. But that doesn't tell the story. You got to look at everything. And I could go back to Sean King. Sean King took over for Trent Dilfer for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in 1999. And they went to the NFC Championship game. And the defense was one of the top defenses in the National Football League, if not number one. But it wasn't that. It was the magic that Sean King brought to that team when he became a starter. Mm-hmm. It wasn't about his statistics. And this is the same thing with Lamar Jackson. This is the same thing with Justin Fields. It's not about the statistics. It's about the magic, right? When you step on the floor, Jay, and all of a sudden you out there playing and you're passing that ball and you putting it right in the breadbasket for a guy to be able to shoot, and you're not waiting to the last 3 seconds on the shot clock to give it to somebody, things start to flow differently. And this is what you're seeing in Justin Fields. So the defense is playing better. They're more energized because not only do they want to win for themselves, they also want to win for a guy who gives them that energy in Justin Fields. If you drop Justin Fields right now into New England, I can almost promise you that team will probably look a little bit different because it's about the energy that you bring. And that's just the way it is. There's no question about it.
Right. That's the question. The question was, forget about everything on the field for a second that the player brings individually. How does he juice the team? And you can see Justin Fields juicing. That's a real thing. The Bears. He also, by the way, is an athletic guy with real arm talent. You know, Key, you were mentioning earlier in the season, it takes him a little while to get rid of the ball, but when he gets rid of it, he throws a pretty spiral. You know, like he can throw that thing.
The reason he holds on to it longer than what he probably should is because in college he could do that. You can hold on to it longer in college because ball travels faster than men. And they're off a few ticks in college. The reaction is not as fast as it is in the pros. So when he starts to understand the pro game and the game starts to slow down for him a little more, then a little bit. If the game starts to slow down.
A little more.
Is that right?
Has it already slowed down for him a little? Then it slows down a little more.
Yeah. It just didn't sound right. That's why I was like, wait a minute. I don't think that was proper English. But it's a situation where it probably is slowing down for him. But when it completely stops and slows all the way down, you're going to start to see, like Lamar Jackson. Like he's
in the Matrix.
He's too fast for the damn game. It's like you can't even do nothing with him but just bless it and accept it. And that's what you're going to get, I believe, in Justin Fields.
That was the greatest innovation in the Matrix, right? Like everyone's seen the Matrix, right? Until the Matrix came out, every time people wanted to show something super fast, it's like the guy's just zipping around the screen. The Matrix, no. Show it from the point of view of the fast guy. Everything looks super slow,
You know what's
right?
so great? You know what's so great about football, man?
Huh?
Is in these things is week to week we got our own opinions about what teams are. Now the Bears getting ready to take on the Green Bay Packers. Mm-hmm. If the Bears take on the Green Bay Packers, in the way Green Bay looked against Cincinnati, if they clip them and they beat them, there's a different opinion now of Matt Nagy, Justin Fields, and the Chicago Bears. There will be a different opinion of what this football team is. I tell you that. And I promise you, if they do that, we'll be having a different conversation about that.
And, Key, one of the things that nobody's talking about, let's not act like David Montgomery wasn't a huge part of this team, right? Like, so now Khalil Herbert, you talk about Damian Williams, the way those two rushed in their last game, like it's still the same game plan.
Wait, hold on. I got to stop you, Jay, because I can't let my dude do this. Khalil Mack. You said Khalil Herbert.
No, I was talking about Chicago's rushing.
But
The running back, the 2 running backs are replaced.
You didn't mean Khalil Mack?
Khalil Herbert.
Okay, it just sound because I was like, wait a minute. I was like, wait a minute, let me slow my
Khalil
guy
Mack
down.
no. I'm saying they lost David Montgomery. That's how they were running the ball. So that's what I got worried about. So, all right, you take away one of these guys, his main option from that, because they still a run-first team, but they still found answers. And the key, that goes back to how you talk about rejuvenating, how you get somebody that says, okay, this is where it is. That's fine. Ride with me. We're still going to figure it out. Like, that says something about a young player in a leadership position.
But he was a leader at Ohio State, right? I mean, everybody looks at Justin Fields when he left Georgia and Jake Fromm took over, or whatever the case was, and all the things that went on. But he goes to Ohio State, and he dominates the Big Ten Conference in college football for 2 years. And then all of a sudden, he drops in the draft because people said that he didn't process the information correctly, or he wasn't doing it. You know, the whole thing. We already know how that goes. But now he goes to training camp, and Matt Nagy makes the decision to start Justin Fields, even though the players felt like, to me, that they wanted to see the young pup get out on the field, and Matt Nagy did it right by making him wait a couple games. Just so happened Andy Dalton got injured, and that opened up the door for Justin Fields to slide in, and here we are now. They get ready to take on the Green Bay Packers. Let's see what happens.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.